Hi and welcome to CBN4's Primetime News Package for today. I'm your presenter, Alian Christopher. Let's take a look at the headlines for today. The parliamentary representative for the Roseau Central resigns from the UWP and steps in as an independent member of parliament. And Moscow bid for joint poisoning inquiry fails at the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. Stay tuned for these and other stories right here on CBN4's Primetime News.
L'année sim tout partout. Attention si vous êtes homme et bien femme. Visitez place santé pour examiner corps. Ça c'est un nick pour yo ouais si l'année pièce moun au lion qui ni maladie TB et bien maladie sexuelle. En compagnie moun qui ni maladie HIV pe ni TB aussi. Savent qui l'année guérison pour TB. Ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Parlez by docteur. Prends responsabilité ou. Aidez du bout de maladie TB et HIV. Ou agir tout le monde pour examiner corps yo.
If you're HIV positive or have an STI, having unprotected sex with multiple partners puts them in grave danger. You'll expose every partner and their present and future partners to HIV or another STI. Use a condom every time you have sex. You can live a productive life even if diagnosed with HIV. Remember, early detection is key to your survival. Be responsible, protect yourself and others. Help stop the spread of HIV and other STIs.
And welcome back. The parliamentary representative for the Roseau Central, Joseph Isaac, has resigned from the United Workers' Party. In a statement, Isaac said after much consultation, at this stage it would be better served if, in the interest of all concerned, if he steps away from the United Workers' Party and pursue the interests of Roseau Central and Dominica as an independent member of parliament.
Free at all times to speak and act in the interests of the people of Roseau Central and to adopt positions in respect of government policies based on merit of those policies. As an independent member of parliament, I will be free to vote for and against policies of the government consistent with my philosophical belief and the impact of such policies on the people I serve. In this regard, I will advise the Honorable Speaker of the House to make provision for me to be seated in Parliament as an independent member. In this capacity, I want to send a clear message of my intention to work with the government of Dominica in the furtherance of its stated desire to build a more resilient, a more climate resilient Dominica.
Isaac said the advent of Tropical Storm Erica and the catastrophic damage by Hurricane Maria has further cemented his view that we require a more nationalistic approach to politics in Dominica.
I have consistently spoken against this practice of tribal politics because I saw little place for it in Primaria Dominica. And there is absolutely no place for it, especially post-Maria, where we find ourselves fighting for our survival in Dominica. There is no place for the politics of black and white. Instead, what we need is the unification where all ideas can contend. I hold firmly to the view for Dominica to emerge successfully from this period of adversity. We need to work together with a common interest and purpose. Something cannot always be right simply because my side is saying it. And by the same token, wrong because it is being said by my political opponent. I think we need in Dominica to raise the bar and instead focus on what is the best interest of this beautiful country.
Isaac said on numerous occasions he has tried to persuade the United Workers' Party that there is wisdom in changing from the traditional opposition approach to politics and to adapt to a more nationalistic approach, one in which the country comes first and everything comes second. Isaac further stated that he will oppose measures that are poorly conceived or not likely to work for the benefit of the people.
I've taken the decision that I've just outlined after months of soul searching and thought, and also after observing the plight of my constituents and the likely impact of the continued divisive politics on their ability to rebound from the tragedy of last September. I pray for there to be one Dominica. I have not decided on my intentions beyond the life of this current parliament at this time. I intend to spend the next 2 years working steadfastly and selfishly in the service of the people of Rural Central and to ensure that they receive their fair share of the national pie.
Isaac said in his statement that he promises to continue to promote this nationalistic approach to Dominica's socio-political development. In Maria and every sector in Dominica is seeking resilience. That includes the Dominica Association of Persons with Disabilities. Marissa Stedman has more details on persons with disabilities.
Over the years, the Association of Disabled People have been trying to improve the lives of those who are considered unfortunate. However, the task is challenging. Since Maria, a proposal has been made to the government of Dominica asking for inclusion in the Build Back Better concept.
We have since moved forward by sending to them in writing what we believe should be done. As a result of the national consultation. We made a presentation and then we also presented to them in written form where we think that the interests of persons with disabilities would be better served. And we outlined in particular Article 9 of the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which deals with accessibility.
But even as the association acts as an advocate on behalf of its members, there are still many disabled people who are not represented. One example is Frank.
Now, Ellis Frank is a double amputee. He uses a wheelchair to move around, and when the sun gets extremely hot, I don't know how he does it, but he climbs further inland into the bush where he can catch some shade underneath an almond tree. Mr. Ellis, thank you for speaking to CBN4. What is it that you really want right now?
I don't know what you give me. I don't feel good. You can give me.
Yes, you're saying what I can give you, but you were asking for a home. Am I right?
Yeah, I understand.
I remember once you said that you were fine with living here. You simply wanted an umbrella. Why did you change your mind?
The umbrella too small, man. It's a pool in the shelter bed. So.
And who do you think can assist you with that?
Anybody that have it.
Thank you very much for speaking to CBN4, Mr. Ellis. Now, like I mentioned to you folks earlier, when I interviewed Mr. Frank, I don't know if he was just trying to be cordial about it. He was not asking for anything in particular, but after being here for an entire month, having his water being stored in the drains in a few water bottles and living off of whatever he's given underneath the Canefield Cliff, it appears that he wants to move. Marissa Stedman reporting for CBN4 News. It's been over a month since Ellis Frank, a resident from Eggleston, has been living underneath the Canefield Cliff. In an earlier interview that I did with this gentleman, he mentioned that he's quite satisfied living underneath the cliff. He simply wanted an umbrella to shade him from the intense sun and the rain. But today, it appears that Ellis Frank has changed his mind. I'm about to speak to him. He expressed to me that he really wants to get out of this location and move into a permanent home. When I first met Frank, the first question that came to mind is, how did he get here and how has he been living? Especially over the couple of days, over the couple of weeks, we've had some really high seas. Even people, passerbys, commuters who use this road daily mentioned to me that they were rather concerned about his health care. And the fact that the seas were so high, how did he manage to stay here without getting wet? Now, if you look beside me, you can see that he has placed some cardboards down on the ground. This is where he has been sleeping. His bathroom is simply the gutter, and as a double amputee, it leaves one to wonder, how has this man managed to live here for an entire month and on a day-to-day basis?
Frank is just one of the growing number of disabled people that is now homeless. Dominica is an island filled with hills and rugged terrain, so amputees normally have a hard time getting around. Not even the sidewalks are built to accommodate them. So for folks like Frank, they had better hope that the Build Back Better concept means homes for the disabled.
And before the passage of Hurricane Maria, the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development had actively sought to develop and implement disaster plans for all schools on the island. The Office of Disaster Management gave support to this venture, while the Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Melina Fontaine, was very eager to get the program going at the schools. Minister for Education and Human Resource Development, Honorable Peter Sejean, said since Maria, enthusiastic support came from friendly organizations which mirrors the ministry's exact plans to increase the capacity of our schools to respond to emergency situations.
Let me say that the Ministry of Education and the government of Dominica are immensely grateful for the quick response of our partners, UNICEF and Israel, who came to our assistance in the immediate aftermath of the hurricane. Representatives of both organizations have been on the ground since last year, assisting in several areas of need. I wish at this moment to express our profound gratitude for the human service that you have given to us here in Dominica.
The minister noted that we must keep the enthusiasm for safety in our schools buoyant. And stay tuned, we'll be back with more coming your way after the break.
There are signs everywhere. Pay attention whether you're male or female. Visit your health center to get screened. It's a preliminary test to determine if you are exposed to the HIV virus, an STI, or tuberculosis. Some people who are HIV positive also have tuberculosis. But there's hope. Tuberculosis can be cured. And yes, you can live a full life with HIV. Talk to your doctor. Be responsible. Help stop the spread of TB, HIV. Encourage everyone to get tested.
Les moun ki ni TB estene e ben tousse, moun ki en bonne santé oli wen ka respire se vermine la. Moun ki pa ni bon tempérament kon sa ki ni maladie HIV, alcool, ka fumer, ti mamay e grand moun bien sensible pour ces maladies ça là. Moun ki ka tousse ni pou prendre précaution le yo en parmi moun en place publique, couvre bouche ou le ka estene et tousse. Visitez docteur et ben place santé. Fini tout traitement yo ba ou sa joine guérison et puis maladie TB. En responsabilité ou aider du bout si men maladie TB et HIV, protéger corps et les autres. Tenissing tout partout. Attention si vous êtes nom.
And welcome back. During the construction of the York Valley Bridge, parliamentary representative for the St. Joseph constituency, Kelvin Daru, stated that the construction of the York Valley Bridge would have a significant and positive impact on his constituency, particularly the farmers who traverse this area daily. The estimated cost of the bridge was $11 million and funded by the government of the People's Republic of China. Today, the road linking the York Valley Bridge to the Layu and the Layu Valley is in a deplorable state. Marisa Stedman is on top of that story.
Now, one can well imagine that after Hurricane Maria, the level of devastation that was caused there. I'm standing where landslides was being cleared off the road. I can tell you that just a couple of days after Hurricane Maria, I ventured onto this road and there were numerous landslides. Now, this road has been the talk of the town for quite a number of years. A lot of persons say that it was in need of repair. It's a road that should be taken more seriously. However, Hurricane Maria has caused even more catastrophic damage. But with Antrim Road, which is the road that is mostly used, having some level of concern with the sinking that it has been experiencing over the number of years, it leaves one to wonder whether Layu Road will be given priority. Still in the community of Layu, we made a quick stop where we noticed that there's a local businessman. He's been operating a garage here for many years, but he says that the road conditions have really affected his business and the level of his income. Now, while many of them who are at this location say that they are very pleased that the York Valley Bridge is officially reopened and can be made use of, the condition of the road simply just isn't sustainable to allow progress. Now, I have here beside me a gentleman. He said he just came back to Dominica. He lives in the Layu Park community, but he's rather concerned about the condition of the road. Thank you for speaking to CBN4, sir. Off the record, you told me that you use this road daily and that you've just returned to Dominica. Tell me, how do you feel about the condition of the road at Layu?
Right now, the road in Layu is not properly well sustainable, as how you said there. There's a certain part of the road that is airy, but where I live, especially where the hurricane had licked down a certain part of the road, and the tractor had to come and cut on the right-hand side to widen it. Then going back down to this new bridge that they spoke about, yes, as they said, but it is not properly for transportation, especially when you reach a certain part of the road itself there now.
I do want to ask though, because I'm sure you're aware that Hurricane Maria really devastated this island. A lot of roads are in repair. Do you think that priority will be given to Layu?
Well, we're supposed to get priority to Layu as every other places that I heard on the radio that the government spoke about. They spoke about what they did and what they did and what they did not did in Katrina time. But since Maria came now, Katrina take aside. Erica, yes. Erica, sorry. That take aside now, and they're talking about Maria. Remember now it's 2015, 2016, we get it. And the hurricane really devastated people because I was a victim. Right now I'm looking for wood and looking for galvanized and all kind of things to see if I could build my place where I is in Casada Gardens. You know, and I just walk the road every day to come up. Yes. And the way how that what you said about the transport, it doesn't have the transportation business running so that at least I could bomb and drop the bread. You know? It really kind of rough really with the road. Look, this brother who was sitting on this side here had given me a job and I was telling him it wasn't for a woman down the road who have a club they call Sister Maria, Mary. She does give them brothers a little work to patch the road and all that kind of thing. And I tell you how bad it is they're coming up. You know? Look, the other day I was getting another job from my brother and he had to take his time like a snail to come up the road and then because that certain part of Layu Park down there is not healthy at all. You know? And it did need that. And also, I don't want to put no salt and no wounds here. Even from Warner. There's plenty of things, man have to kind of duck the road, you know. So I think it's time that something should be done. I mean, I hear in the government saying that they have monies, but at the same time, I don't think Layu Park have been seen about as a brother from the diaspora as they're talking about us now. I didn't see that.
And the projects officer in the National Youth Council of Dominica, Kemai John, says that after the passage of Hurricane Maria on September 18, 2017, a lot of the coast communities were inundated with a number of wood from the forest. He therefore indicated that many persons could take advantage of the large amounts of lumber coming from the forest and transform it into a productive resource.
Some men, we got teams of chainsaw men, and then they would actually do two things. They would transfer the wood into lumber, so we'd have planks being developed, we'd have posts being developed, and then also we did a training as to how persons can make charcoal from using metal drums. One of our main partners on that was Harry Spence and Mr. Franklin Zamor. They came and they taught us how we can utilize these drums and then convert wood into charcoal. Traditionally, it's something that is a form of employment that is being carried out in Dominica. But now, with new technologies and new processes, the work becomes a lot easier. And at the moment, as we speak, we have two young persons who actually saw the opportunity in creating charcoal from the wood along the bayside, from the wood of Maria.
The male youth CARICOM ambassador, Eardley Peer, announced that the OECS and CARICOM are having to develop 60,000 jobs over the next 10 years. The projects officer of the National Youth Council, Kemai John, supports the idea but believes that persons should be able to identify the resources and train persons within the community to utilize and transform these resources into assets and commodities that can then be traded.
How we utilize these resources and create employment for our own. One of our biggest partners at the National Youth Council of Dominica is the Dominica Youth Business Trust. I myself am a part of that program. So we do have mechanisms in place that we can actually utilize to move the country forward. But in doing it, we have to identify the resources. We have to utilize the resources. One of the other resources, although it is not a community-based natural resource, but one of the other resources that we have right now is galvanage. We have galvanage. We have a lot of posts, utility poles.
And also in the news, the Environmental Health Department has announced a decrease in the number of calls for inspection at various institutions around the island. Isabella John, Environmental Health Officer with the responsibility for occupation and health and safety and institutional hygiene, says because of so many places flooding during Maria, a number of persons complained that their work environment is not safe due to molds.
We had persons complaining that their work environment is not safe, it is moldy, it is stuffy. Persons are complaining of itching, burning sensation, feeling ill while at work, and when they leave the workplace they feel okay. So we have been doing inspections of workplaces, and so far we have given recommendations. When we inspect, we obviously have to give recommendations, and also we have had radio programs where we give information out to persons. So by now, after 6 months, it is expected that the number of places complaining of poor indoor air quality is decreasing. But we have noticed also that because some of the buildings still have leaks, and because it's not completely covered, or they have cracks in the wall where you have leaks coming in, or some issue where you have water entering, the persons are still complaining that they have mold. So whenever we go to do the inspection, we always inform them that unless the leaks are not sealed off properly, you will still continue to have mold in your building.
According to Isabella, mold is a part of the natural environment. It is everywhere but becomes an issue when it begins growing indoors.
The reason why it will grow indoors is because the conditions that are inside are suitable for growth. So you have moisture, the dampness, temperature is up, the relative humidity is up. It will encourage mold growth. They will grow on anything, and when they grow on the surfaces, they will feed on it.
She further gave a few examples of the symptoms one may experience if mold is evident in an indoor place.
First of all, if you have leaks, there's the possibility that you eventually will have mold growth. Then you will notice, even if you don't see it on surface, your walls or your furniture, your cupboard, you will start to smell this moldy or musty odor in your home. Once you have that, it means that there is a possibility of you have mold, even if you are not seeing it. Now, when you start to see it, it means that it's growing, and you start to smell it's growing in abundance. Eventually, you will start to feel the itching, because the toxins that the mold produce, once it gets airborne, you will start to feel the effects. So you will feel itching, burning sensation, you have burning of the eye, burning of the lips, burning of the nose, and you have tightness of the chest, coughing, and so on. Persons who have underlying respiratory conditions like asthma, it will start to aggravate it. All right, and then long-term exposure can lead to some lung infection or other respiratory conditions.
Isabella John said persons who suspect that there is mold in the home or business institution must first identify all the suspected leaks and seal them. Stay tuned, we'll be back with more after the break.
L'année signe tout partout. Attention si vous êtes homme et bien femme. Visitez place santé pour examiner corps. Ça c'est un nid pour yo ouais si l'année pièce moun au lion qui ni maladie TB et bien maladie sexuelle. En compagnie moun qui ni maladie HIV, P ni TB aussi. Savent qui l'année guérison pour TB. Ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Parlez by docteur. Prends responsabilité. Aider du bout de sime maladie TB et HIV. Ou agir tout le monde pour examiner corps yo.
If you're HIV positive or have an STI, having unprotected sex with multiple partners puts them in grave danger. You'll expose every partner and their present and future partners to HIV or another STI. Use a condom every time you have sex. You can live a productive life even if diagnosed with HIV. Remember, early detection is key to your survival. Be responsible, protect yourself and others. Help stop the spread of HIV and other STIs.
There are signs everywhere. Pay attention whether you're male or female. Visit your health center to get screened. It's a preliminary test to determine if you are exposed to the HIV virus, an STI, or tuberculosis. Some people who are HIV positive also have tuberculosis. But there's hope. Tuberculosis can be cured. And yes, you can live a full life with HIV. Talk to your doctor. Be responsible. Help stop the spread of TB, HIV. Encourage everyone to get tested.
Les moun qui ni TB estene et bien toussé, moun qui en bonne santé au lion qui a respiré ces vermines là, moun qui pas ni bon tempérament, kon sa qui ni maladie HIV, alcool, café, ti mamay et grand moun, bien sensible pour ces maladies ça là. Moun qui ka toussé ni pour prendre précaution les yo en parmi moun en place publique, couvert bouche ou le ka estene et toussé. Visitez docteur et bien place santé. Fini tout traitement yo ba ou sa joine guérison et puis maladie TB. En responsabilité ou aider du bout de sime maladie TB et HIV. Protéger corps et les autres.
And welcome back, and now with news from around the region. The United Nations has already started to prepare for a post-peacekeeping presence in Haiti, a senior UN official said on Tuesday, stressing there are many reasons to be optimistic that the country's progress towards stability is now irreversible. The Under-Secretary General for Peacekeeping Operations, Jean-Pierre Lacroix, said that in the coming months, his office will provide progress assessments to allow the 15-member body to take well-informed decisions for the drawdown and eventual withdrawal of the UN Mission for Justice Support in Haiti. Established in October last year, UN Mission for Justice Support in Haiti replaced the Stabilization Mission, which operated in the tiny island nation for 13 years. While the Security Council is expected to renew the Mission for Justice Support in Haiti, whose initial mandate expires on 15th of April 2018, Lacroix said the UN is determined to ensure it be the last peacekeeping operation deployed to Haiti. And the main opposition party has been invited to fill at least one of the 3 available seats in Grenada's Senate. The 13th of March general election saw the incumbent New National Party win the consecutive clean sweep at the polls, winning all 15 seats up for grabs under the leadership of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell. All Senate seats are within his nomination, with the second largest party, the National Democratic Congress, in the frame to represent their supporters. During the last parliamentary session, the Senate seat made available to the NDC was filled by NDC leader Nazim Burke, who was also the Minister for Finance in the previous Tillman-Thomas administration that eventually lost to Mitchell and the NNP in 2013. This new session has, however, been met with controversy, as some people within the NDC are considering whether or not to pick someone from their ranks to fill the Senate position, or to allow to continue with whomever he wishes to select under his prerogative. Divisions within the NDC are apparently torn between both camps, being further fueled by sentiments of election irregularities, prompting one faction to reject the Senate seat offered as a matter of protest. And around the world, Russia's proposal for a new joint investigation into the poisoning of an ex-spy and his daughter in England has been voted down at the International Chemical Weapons Watchdog at The Hague. Russia has accused Britain of blocking access to an investigation being carried out by the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW. Britain earlier said Russia's call for an inquiry with the UK was perverse. Russia lost the vote by 15 votes to 6, while 17 member states abstained. China, Azerbaijan, Sudan, Algeria and Iran were among the countries that backed Russia's motion at the OPCW Executive Council, and Russia called the meeting to challenge the UK, which has blamed Moscow for the March 4th poisoning of Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia in Salisbury, southern England. And that takes us to the end of today's Primetime News package. On behalf of the entire CBN4 team, I am Alian Christopher saying thank you for watching and have a good day.